Okay, here we are. This is where we really start getting into it. So, I just want to recap. At this point, you should have selected a song. You should have learned all of the chords for the song. You should be really comfortable singing the song. Now, again, I don't care if you don't sound great while you're singing it, and I don't care if the chords, when you strum them, don't sound perfect. Again, we'll fix all that stuff as we kind of go along. But the idea is that you have all of this stuff committed to memory. If you don't have at least that stuff down, stop where you are, go back, and get that stuff done. It will make it so much easier, and if you don't do it, it's just going to make it so much harder to sing and play at the same time. You need to be super, super comfortable with your song, and you need to be super, super comfortable with the chords in the song. You shouldn't have to go back and look them up, nothing like that. You should also, ideally, have identified a couple of the chord progressions in the song. So for our sort of imaginary song that we're doing here, the chord progression is G, D, E minor, and C. And I'm using pretty standard open position versions of these chords. If you want to use bar chords, that's fine. If you want to use, one finger versions of these chords, that's fine too. It doesn't matter to me. You're going to do whatever you're most comfortable with. And like I said, if you're, comfortable with everything, then just do whatever sounds really, really good. So once you have that stuff down, then we can start getting into the meat of it. And the first and probably most important tip when you're learning how to sing and play at the same time is strum at the lyrics, okay? So normally when we first learn how to play guitar, we're taught to sort of count out the measures or count out the beats of a certain measure or, the chords that we're playing. So we'll give, like for our imaginary chord progression here in our imaginary song, we're going to give it, let's say, 4 beats each. So that really amounts to 4 strums each. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Easy enough. It lets you know when you need to move to the next chord. It gives you a good sense of sort of rhythm and timing. We can, play a metronome and count easily along with what we're doing. If we're playing with other people, we can just kind of count to the beat. The problem with this method is if you're trying to sing at the same time, you can't count the number of beats. If there's just too much going on, you're trying to say the correct lyrics and sing them well. At the same time, you're trying to count how many strums you're doing before you need to make that chord change. It's too much. You can't do it. So the idea is, instead of counting, what we're going to do is we're going to focus on changing the chords at certain lyrics of the song. Okay. When you looked up your song on the internet, it should have looked something like, the lyrics of your song with the chords written on top. And I'll show you for our imaginary song, this is what it's going to look like. Okay, so when you pulled your song off the internet, this is probably what it looked like. There's a line, a lyric line right here that I've just kind of highlighted. And then above those lyrics are the chords. Sometimes maybe the chords are going to be below the lyrics, but usually you'll have them written this way. If you didn't get your song off the internet and you're using a songbook or sheet music, you'll probably have staff lines with chords written on top and lyrics written below, and it should be formatted and lined up, at the right time so you know when you're changing chords. The problem when you pull stuff off the internet is a lot of time the formatting is off or it might not look right. That's kind of a problem, and we'll see if we can address it a little bit. But just so you can kind of see what is happening here, we have our imaginary chord progression here, this G, D, E minor, C, and our imaginary song that we're working for. And it would sound like this. The chord progression would be G, D, E minor, C, okay? And normally, like we mentioned, you would, count how many strums you would do. 1, 2, 3, 4, D, 2, 3, 4, E minor, 2, 3, 4, C, 2, 3, 4. But if we're trying to sing, let's say the line sounds like, we will strum at the lyrics of our song. How do we know when to change those chords? And what we're going to do is focus on where these chords are written. So you can see I've highlighted the word we is where we'll play our G chord. The word the word strum is where we'll play our D chord. The word lyrics is where we'll hit E minor. And the word song is where we will hit our C chord. And right now we're just going to do 1 strum each. We're not going to do anything fancy. We're not going to try to do any kind of strumming pattern. We're just trying to get the timing down. And whenever you're learning a new song, this is the way to do it. just try getting that chord progression down and try to match it up with the lyrics. So it sounds something like this. We will strum at the lyrics of our song. G on the we will strum D chord at the E minor of our C chord. Okay. So hopefully that makes sense, because this is kind of a key part to being able to play and sing at the same time. You want to match those lyrics up to your chords. Now, like I mentioned, if you pull this stuff off of the internet, there's a chance that the formatting is kind of messed up. You're going to do the best you can to sort of match it with, your knowledge of the song. You should know the song so well, you should be able to sort of hear where those chord changes are. Now, if the formatting is super messed up and you have no idea where to strum, you can always contact me. I can help you with that. You can always go back and try a simpler song or try a different song that you've selected from. But the idea is that we need to match up those lyrics to the chord. And most of the time it's going to be all right, but it's worth mentioning that you might run into some roadblocks and it might not sound quite right. So if that's the case, try a different song or reach out to me and I'll see if I can help you. So again, here's what we're doing. We will strum at the lyrics of our song. I'm matching the chords to the words that I'm singing. One strum each, nothing fancy, no kind of crazy strumming patterns or anything like that. Once you get that stuff down, then we can move to the next part. Again, match those lyrics up to your chords. Don't worry about strums, don't worry about anything else. Once you have that down, we can kind of get some other strumming pattern going so it sounds a little bit smoother. And we'll do that in the next section. See you there.